Hey everybody, David Alter here. Welcome to Rink Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog. Make a play, Canada's choice for free casino game, sports odds, and poker strategies. And tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs play host to the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 2 of their Eastern Conference first round series. It is Tampa who is leading 1-0 after a 7-3 defeat of the Maple Leafs on Tuesday. Really unexpected. That was a big storyline, which we'll get into in a moment. But again, Elias Samsonov had a struggle, gave up 6 goals, certainly wasn't the only reason for why the Maple Leafs lost that game on Tuesday. A lot of different factors went into it, but Sheldon Keefe on Wednesday confirming that it's going to be, quote, Sammy for sure, who will be back between the pipes for the Toronto Maple Leafs in game number 2. Interesting, we requested to speak to him, and the Leafs have not allowed Samsonov to speak, which is a little bit unfortunate because it's always a treat when number 35 does speak. But Elias Samsonov was focused at practice yesterday. He was doing all the same kind of drills that he likes. Sheldon Keefe actually said that they kind of catered some of that practice to what Samsonov prefers. He told me earlier in the year that when they just do goalie ice, that's not necessarily the best for him. He likes replicating game situations. He's very competitive in practices, and so as a result of that, he was facing a lot of 3-on-2, 2-on-1 situations, and so Elias Samsonov is going back in, and again, he wasn't the only reason why they lost that game. Joseph Woll did come in to start the third period. He did allow a goal on 5 shots. He wasn't really enough of a benchmark to kind of see, so the Maple Leafs are giving Sammy the benefit of the doubt, and he will get the start once again. He's only got 1 playoff win in 9 career appearances, so there's certainly a lot of pressure on the Russian goaltender to deliver and try and even up this series. Now, the Maple Leafs will proceed with this game and the next 2 without Michael Bunting. He was suspended for 3 games for his illegal check to the head of Tampa Bay Lightning defenseman Erik Cernak. Maybe a little high. I actually want to get your comments below if you thought that that suspension was too high, too low, or just right in terms of what Michael Bunting got, but he'll miss games 2, 3, and 4. The Maple Leafs have said that Michael Bunting will not be made available until the series concludes to comment on the suspension. That could be the end of the series if the Leafs get swept. I don't think people are necessarily thinking the Leafs will get swept, although there's not a lot of confidence after the effort that the Maple Leafs put forth in game number 1. Certainly a lot of the message this morning was that they have to have a better start and play with some confidence. They looked tentative out there, especially in that first 10 minutes, and it really set the tone for Tampa to kind of exert their will on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Personnel change. So Bunting comes out. Matthew Knies will make his NHL playoff debut. Sheldon Keefe kind of pouring cold water that there's any sort of pressure on the rookie to kind of deliver. Said that at the collegiate level with a ton of fans there, that was probably more pressure packed where he had to be the guy. Here he doesn't have to be the guy, but this is his 4th NHL game. He's in the hottest market right now in terms of pressure, and he's the new face. So you let me know in the comments, is there pressure on Matthew Knies, or is he playing with house money in this situation because he's new, he didn't have to deal with game 1, and so maybe he can kind of be more free-flowing. He'll be on a line with Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari on the 3rd line. Calle Jarnkrok will move up to the 1st line to skate with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner in the wake of Michael Bunting coming out of the lineup. So he talked about the pressure and the good starts. Morgan Riley talked about it as well, that they know that they expect a better opening few minutes and a better effort, especially because it looked like the Maple Leafs weren't themselves. And that's what Sheldon Keefe said about game number 1, that they didn't look like the same team that was out there in the regular season. They were allowing pucks to get into their slot a lot easier than they had in the past. And, a lot of people didn't give Tampa a lot of credit for this. Toronto with 111 points. They were certainly playing good hockey going into the playoffs, and Tampa was not. But the switch was flipped. That's why Tampa's been in the Stanley Cup Finals for 3 consecutive years. And two of those, they were Stanley Cup champions. So as for the Tampa Bay Lightning, mentioned Erik Cernak, that illegal check in the head. He got Bunting got 3 games, and a lot of that was because Cernak is injured. He will not play in this game. We don't know what his status will be for the remainder of the series, but it certainly didn't look good Michael Eassamont will not play for the Tampa Bay Lightning in this game as well. He took a hard hit from Jake McCabe that some people felt was a little bit late, but when you slow it back, it was a check to the chest. Really good hit from Jake McCabe, although he was kind of out of position afterwards, and so that kind of resulted in a play the other way. David Kampf had to take a penalty. There's a lot of debate about if David Kampf's penalty was actually a penalty, but it did lead to another goal for Tampa on that ensuing power play. Victor Hedman is a game-time decision. John Cooper reiterated that as well. So he will take the warm-up behind me here about a half an hour before puck drop, and then they'll make a decision. And that's going to be big, because if Toronto wants to have any chance of coming back into this with the short staff that Tampa has, if they don't have Chernak and Hedman in this, they really have to try and exploit that defense. That's really Toronto's kind of confidence builder there, is that the personnel is starting to dwindle for Tampa, and maybe they can kind of look to exploit that. But the Lightning will actually get one reinforcement back. Tanner Jeannot is more than likely going to come back into this game, according to Cooper. A bit of a surprise. If you saw the injury that he had a week ago, his leg kind of unbuckles under him. It looked pretty gruesome. Looked like one of those major injuries. Tampa traded for Cal Foote and 5 draft picks, including a first rounder, just to get Jeannot. It was a huge price. And so for him to come back for game 2 is a big boon for Tampa, especially considering all the guys that I just mentioned that are not going to be in the lineup. That's the story here. Myself and Rob Wong, as per usual, will break down this game right afterwards on the Rink-Wide Toronto post-game show. Make sure you rate and subscribe on all of your favorite podcast platforms to Rink-Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog, sports odds, poker tips, and free casino games. Make a play today. Rink-Wide Toronto, pregame, postgame, every game.